Have you noticed in your own street, in your own life, your own world that you inhabit, that you may be working really, really hard, but there are quite a lot of people out there who seem to be doing absolutely nothing, getting quite a lot of money for it, and also ruining the community that you've grown up and lived in for a long, long time? Do you find as well that if you live in a little village, people keep getting moved into your village from outside? They have no kind of want to get involved with the community. All they want to do is ruin the lives of everyone around them, be antisocial, even things like not cut the grass on their front lawn, not trim their hedge, park obnoxiously across the whole of the footpath, things like that. Just drives me nuts. And we've definitely got some people like that in our village. And I was very interested to see that Cheryl Jacobs in the Telegraph had also noticed this. So check this story out here, got it up on my phone. Cheryl Jacobs, some people on benefits are faking it. There, I've said it. Now I've noticed some people who live in a cul-de-sac in my village who go out and walk their dog, but they also have cars bought for them by the government and also buggies because apparently they're disabled. But there we go. Anyway, let's see what Cheryl has to say. Cheryl says, "It's time to start saying the unsayable. A lot of people in this country are pretending to be sick in order to claim benefits. And I've seen that in my own village. Some people in a cul-de-sac where I live, they're often getting takeaways delivered to their house. They don't work at all. So how the hell can they afford takeaways and smoking?" The official story is that Britain is in the grip of an epidemic of ill health. Many are indeed suffering from real ailments, of course. Cheryl has to say that, doesn't she? But few politicians or commentators dare to point to the rising evidence that a proportion may be faking it. We urgently need to confront what is driving millions to choose a life on welfare. Fake compassion, the medicalisation of every anguish, and the state-crushing incentives to work. Wow. It seems like everyone's feelings matter now. You've got HR departments within HR departments, for crying out loud. The one thing that we seem to forget about what businesses are there for are for productivity, for making money, so you get paid. It's a byproduct of all that if you feel happy while you do it, but it's certainly not the job of your boss or anyone else to make sure that you are happy. That's your job. So after work, you go off and play squash or tennis or do something, go for a walk, paint a picture, take some photographs, whatever it is that keeps you happy. But it seems like there's a hell of a lot of people out there who just don't have the get up and go even to do that. They're a lot more happier sat around watching box sets, doing absolutely sweet cool, and then getting all depressed about it when they sit and look at themselves in the mirror and think, look at the fat, useless slob I've become. Oh, it's my boss's fault. Oh, it's the government's fault for not giving me an incentive. Oh, it's this and that. No, it's your fault. But anyway, Cheryl continues. Unless we confront this uncomfortable reality, our economy will continue to stagnate while still remaining dependent on mass migration. Despite Labour's planned welfare cuts feeling ever less credible this week following the PM's winter fuel U-turn, we all saw that one coming, Pension Secretary Liz Kendall is feigning businesses as usual, planning not to resile from her proposed £5 billion reduction in disability benefits. Yet the party's hard left, emboldened after winning their first concession from the PM, is organising behind the scenes to derail Kendall. Cheryl, not 100% sure what this has all got to do with people not working, but let's continue. They might get their way. The central problem is that Labour doesn't have the appetite to openly go to war with benefit scroungers. Even blue Labourites, which is kind of the conservative, more right-leaning Labour-y lot, I guess. Even blue Labourites on the party's right who admit privately that there are bits of the system that are outright dodgy and that the country is suffering from a kind of cultural lethargy are hesitant to make their views public. Starmer allies fear that this cowardice will cost them dear. As one veteran advisor told me, the hardest thing in politics is when you can't explain why you're doing something. If you believe some are not deserving, you should have the courage to defend that position. And believe me, people, a lot of these people are not deserving, all right? It is perplexing that our politicians are so reluctant to call out benefits cheats. There is evidence that the system is rotten, as other benefits have been titled since 2010, disability claims have surged. Exactly the same thing that followed previous reforms in the 1980s. I would go out tonight, but I haven't got a stitch to wear. The subjectivity of many conditions should ring alarm bells. More than half of the rise in disability claims since the pandemic is attributable to mental health. The most common physical ailments of those signing on are musculoskeletal, such as back pain. The latter is notoriously difficult for clinicians to verify. I know a few people as well who go around on this like weird little people carrier, never done a day's work in their life, but they go up the pub, they go out and eat. They seem to have more money than most people who work really hard to spend in random pubs and stuff like that. And it's just, well, where are you getting that money from? You're not working, you're either moonlighting or it's being given to you by the government. That is not to say that we're dealing with a completely pretend problem. Britain is a sickly country, a reality exacerbated by the NHS backlog. And of course, the backlog is caused by the fact that there's loads more people here in this country using the NHS, some of whom have never paid into the system whatsoever. Diagnoses for mental conditions have soared in part because people have become more willing to seek help when they are struggling, a welcome breakthrough. There is something in the idea that modern mass neuroses, not least phone addiction, are chipping away at their collective mental state. That's why I always say, go for a walk, try and get 15,000 steps in a day. You'll feel so much better, believe me. Still, it is hard to believe that a quarter of Britons are disabled and that a fifth of adults are too ill to work at all. And they are the figures, guys, apparently. Can it really be plausible that the proportion of incapacitated citizens in our wealthy, medically advanced country like ours is averaging 10% higher than in developing countries like Congo, racked by poverty and low childhood vaccination rates? We must be open to the possibility that something has gone wrong with this country, that large numbers convince themselves that they are ill or indeed engage in outright deceit. And I'm afraid a lot of it is the outright deceit. The medicalisation of mundane suffering is not healthy. Some psychiatrists worry that it has become easier than ever to be diagnosed as mentally ill, as the thresholds for diagnoses have been lowered. According to Professor Francis Allen, chairman of the psychiatry department at Duke University, there has been a progressive shift in the fuzzy boundary between mental illness and normality, with the range of mental conditions widening to include new disorders like generalised anxiety. In the UK, a smattering of doctors have also started to speak out. Our welfare state disincentivises people to get up in the morning and go to work. Scroungers are not an anomaly, but the logical product of a warped system. Those who play the bureaucracy are not deviant, but rational. Everything from the shape of universal credit to the earning cut-off for free school meals nudges people to stay on benefits. Higher taxes are also proving destructive. I spoke to one benefit support worker who lamented the vicious cycle of people who find work and come off the dole, only to discover that the state, which once gave them free cash, is now taking money off them and that they are being hit in the face by HMRC. It is not nearly enough to merely scale back the state. The entire welfare system needs to be blown up and rebuilt from scratch. I mean, who's going to do that? This lot aren't. Any policy that constitutes a possible disincentive to work should be scrapped. This can't just be a job for the Department of Work and Pensions. Ending worklessness should be the goal of all departments. Now, I agree with you there, Cheryl. Our unwillingness to confront the benefits crisis must be tackled. The annual cost of working age ill health is higher than the yearly NHS budget. By 2030, we'll be spending as much on disability benefits each year as we do on education. Mass worklessness leaves the country reliant on mass immigration, a phenomenon that threatens a populist backlash that will make the Brexit revolt look like a tea party. Nor should we gloss over the fact that it is wicked that we are crippling millions of people with kindness and indulging their fantasies that they are incapable of making their way in the world. It is not humane to indulge other human beings in self-sabotage fantasies about their own lack of agency. It is not compassionate for the state to write off millions of people as broken goods, and it is not moral to extract labour from poor countries on an industrial scale to fill the gaps in wealthy Western nations, depriving them of health and care workers. It is time that we wake up. The disability benefits sham is throttling the economy and is a moral stain on our country. Now, as always, below the line comments are the places I like to go, because that's where you actually find out what's going on, what people really think. So let's have a quick gander, shall we? Prester John in the comments said, "We live near a market town in the southwest and have done for over a decade. My experience is not that it's some people, but that it's a very significant number. Benefits fraud is endemic here. It goes hand in hand with a large amount of drug dealing. It's all topped up with cash in hand work. The town is crawling with dodgy takeaways, vape shops and Turkish barbers, all there to further serve the underground economy. They all know how to play the system, especially mental health. I know one family drawing down 40k a year, which they live off while pushing weed for cash. It's very typical. There are many well-known plays like couples being each other's carer so both get paid. It's made worse by the perverse disincentives to work. Local fast food outlets all offer restricted hours contracts to flex around the benefit system, and people won't work more as the system makes them worse off. People turn down work as there's no point putting anything on the books, as if you do a certain amount of hours, your benefits disappear. And just like our police pick easy targets like people tweeting or old ladies driving, our benefits agencies avoid the troublemakers, skivers and bolshy ones, and instead do things like make my brother with stage 3 Parkinson's and heart trouble, wheelchair bound, go through multiple appeals and nonsense because he's polite and compliant. This is disgraceful, isn't it, guys? They even had him attend an assessment in a building with no wheelchair access. It really is clown world. We need radical action such as automatically providing work on application. Here's your broom, there's the street. 100% agree in that. Axing the mental health stuff and incentivising working people, more top-ups for more hours worked. And of course, benefits for citizens only. Non-citizen, plain ticket. Oh yeah, John Broomfield said, don't forget the perks of being on universal credit. Free prescriptions, free dental care, reduced broadband tariff, help with council tax, help with rent, help with energy bills, etc. So once you're hooked on a universal credit, it's doubly difficult to get off it. It's undoubtable, guys, we've got a massive problem out there. Tell us what you think in the comments below as well. And also, tell me if you like this kind of video. It's the first one I've ever done like this, so be good to know. See you soon.